Hello internets, I'm HamsterBomb and you guys are back for another figure review video. And in the light that we were just in last time of doing a Twilight Princess, Legend of Zelda Figma, we have yet another one that they fortunately made. They not only made Link, but they also made a Princess Zelda one, which is really awesome. It made me even start wondering, like, are they even going to go so far as to make a Ganondorf as well? That'd be pretty sweet. I don't think they will. I don't know. I've got a feeling they're going to move on from here to do some Breath of the Wild ones, which would be really incredible because they made an Android of the Breath of the Wild Link, just not a Figma yet. I tend to prefer the Figmas. These are really, really well-made figures, and I'm really glad to recently expand my collection an additional 2 of them, because I only have 2 of them before this. I have the other M Samus in the Various suit, and the other M's Zero Suit Samus. It's just the only series they did. They claim they did another Metroid Prime version, but I've got issues with its design's technically wrong, but just stupid things just because I'm a huge fanboy of Metroid. But this is a Legend of Zelda, so I'm really glad to get to expand this to a different franchise because I adore Legend of Zelda. And Twilight Princess still might be my favorite Zelda game. It's up there. Breath of the Wild, basically, coming out, is the only thing that is comparable at the moment. I also turned down my lights a little bit for this one, so you can see the shimmer going on in this bow. It's still not even really coming across as well as it does in real life, but everything that is yellow, like, and the golds in this, this is a really, really nice Figma. So before we get into this thing, I always start by showing you guys the box and the accessories first, just so we could save the fun part for last. We'll take a look at the actual Figma itself. So let's move this thing back here, just so we can get a good look at it. Also gonna pick us up and move Zelda just a little bit so we can see this here. So here's the front of the Figma box. It looks pretty typical. It's about what you would expect. It's funny she was 318. I wonder if she came out like before Link. I'm sure it was just the same wave of when these things were released anyway. Oh shoot, I don't want to do that on accident. That was actually kind of hard to get up there. I'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, here's the top of it. You can see just some extra art. I don't want to go too far off the edge, but Zelda's arrow is giving me issues. There we go. I'm just going to move you back here for now. Anyway, there we go. So you can see the top of this with the bow. Really cool that they included that. I'm really glad that it wasn't just Zelda normally, because I'm a nut for the accessory stuff. We'll see the back in a minute. It's just the ordinary pose they have of her. And there's just a mirror on the back. She also, if I can see this, comes with her sword that she uses. There we go. I mean, that's really it. It's an ordinary Figma. It's not like a DX version of like that Link we saw last time with an absurd amount of accessories. It's just Princess Zelda, and to be honest, they could have gotten away with just making the ordinary Princess Figma and not made any accessories at all, so I am not complaining. I'm very happy with these. I think they look great with the light bow. The light arrow is amazing, and bunch of extra stuff here. So also, you always get a Figma bag, which I really appreciate having these things. I should actually start, now I was just mentioning, since I have several, I can actually start writing who goes with which on the bags now. Though I can kind of tell just by looking at it. If someone has a morph ball, it's probably not Zelda. You also get this booklet, which I mentioned in the Link video. I really appreciate how they started writing in English. Thank you! So that's really helpful. I basically need to use this to figure out, like, hey, how do I take the sword apart so I can put her hand through it so she can hold it? Same for the bow. How do you take that apart? How do you hold the bow? That kind of confused me, and we'll talk about that in particular in a moment. But also, one last thing, and I actually forgot to mention this for the Link Zelda Twilight Princess Figma in the last one. He does come with, and so does she, comes with an extra wrist joint in case it breaks. It is sealed in here. I just put mine in the back of the box in case I ever break the wrist, but if you're gentle with these, you really shouldn't break them. You'll realize you're forcing it in the wrong direction if it's not moving any farther than you think it should. So, anyway, Speaking of the wrist joints, how about we move to the hands? I'm going to move our focus in a bit so we can see these here. See how close we can get. There we go. Now, for the hands, they all have about the same color mold. They look like her gloves, I guess, what she's wearing. Typically, you got those outstretched Figma hands. They have that same mold. They kind of make everybody do that, which is fine, especially for a character who generally doesn't have a sword or a bow. They were just nice enough to give us them. Then you have that option of having an outstretched hand. Besides, she's a princess. She can be glamorous when she wants to. 2 hands grabbing something. So this could either be the sword in either hand, I assume. I wonder if it's the same distance, like across. Like a Figma could grab, like that grab hand is the same size. Like she can actually hold the Master Sword or something. I don't know if that can actually be interchangeable or not, but that'd be interesting. The bow for sure. Link cannot, I don't think, can shoot this light arrow, and I'll show you in a minute as well. And then she has 2 fists over here, just solid fists. Another Figma standard, you have fists, the outstretched hands, usually grabbing something. And if there's specific extra stuff, like she's using now, then they give them to you. While we're zoomed in here, I'm going to show you the alternate face. This one's really nice. They spent a lot of time making these. It looks a lot better, of course, in person. I'm doing my best to get the lighting proper so that, you know, my disgusting fingers aren't distracting you. But they put a lot of detail into these. Like, they sculpted out the ear. You can't even see that. There is technically different paint on the lips. It's just not exaggerated. The earring pieces are really nice. There's a lot going on in there. And for them to be blocked by her hair, that's a lot of detail. So the way this headpiece actually works, why there's holes there, the tiara bit in the background there, that pops off first, and then the head pops off. I think tiara, hair, head, I don't know, it's something like that. It's several pieces. And we also have this very nice sword. I don't know if this sword actually has a name or anything, but she does use it in the game, I think? Oh, no. She has this when Ganondorf, like, possesses her in the final fight. I'm assuming it's not a spoiler anymore. I'm just assuming if you're looking into this thing, you've played Twilight Princess, and that's not a spoiler. So, like, in the end of the game, Ganondorf possesses Zelda, and you have to actually fight her off. Then, yeah, that's what this is for. Which made me wonder, it was like, how come if you made the faces, why didn't you make, one of those gloomy, bluey, purple, possessed Zelda face, and then have her, like, attacking Link, and I don't know, I thought that'd be really cool, but they didn't go for that, so whatever. You still get this sword, though, which is really nice, because it looks very regal. This thing is very thin, like paper thin. Compared to the Master Sword, this thing, it's like a fencing stick. It's so tiny and delicate. I'm scared to mess with it. While she's back here holding the bow, I'm going to bring her a lot closer so you guys can see this bow here while she's actually got it held onto at the moment before I take it apart. You can kind of see that yellow shimmer a little better here, but trust me, it's not doing it justice. You got to see this in real life. This thing looks awesome. So, if you remember the last video, the way that Link uses his bow is similar to how she's holding it back there, except Link actually does this with his knuckles, right? And there's going to be a hole right here in his handpiece for the bow to slide through, and he's like kind of pinching it and holding it back, right? You can see Zelda's doing something different here, and I don't know if I like it. I mean, it's working. I don't know how it's working, but it's working. Where she's basically just doing this with her thumb and kind of pinching down, though, of course, she's not alive, so it doesn't really work. She is supposed to be pinching down and holding onto the back tip of this arrow. And if I pull this out and just take it from her, you can see how little force that required, by the way. That's what it is. It's just a little tip. So it comes to a point, Zelda's supposed to grab it with her thumb, and that's that. This is a really big arrow, though. I mean, compared to Link's, this thing is about 5 times the weight. It's got a lot more mass to it. Aside from the fact that it looks so much cooler with that shimmering yellow paint, the hook claw on the end of the actual arrow itself, these just look really cool, really cool. So I really appreciate the extra effort that they put in for this. It's almost like that I think she does use these in the game in the final fight against Ganondorf when she's back on your side again. I think you're out in Hyrule Field and she is shooting these at him, and really cool. That was an epic fight, by the way. I don't know. Twilight Princess is a great game. I'm gonna try and separate. Whoa! She doesn't want to let go. Please give it to me. I need to show the world. There we go. She'll just hold that for the moment. Let me take that back out. All right, cool. There we go. Now she's just giving you a thumbs up or something like that. So you kind of see how these pieces operate. The sword is going to do the same thing. Basically separates at the hilt and reassembles itself. So that's the bow. This thing is really, really detailed. And like I said, even the white, it's hard to see. It looks in the video like it's blown out or something, but that's just a pearly shine that they painted on the bow and the arrow. So that's why I'm trying to focus so much on these, because they look really cool. These are really, really nice. Aside from the issue with her holding it kind of funny, she does that thing that Link does where she kind of aims it default down a bit. I'm going to move our focus back. Sorry, I'm trying to do both of these at once. She aims it, like holds it typically kind of down a bit, so you're forcing it up as high as possible so that she can hold it as correct as you would assume. It's going to make it really hard if you want to aim up. Her arm would have to be crazy high in the air. Like, I don't think she can actually aim higher than this because of her shoulder pad things, but still, it's not a really big deal. I've tried messing with them. I'll probably try again later in the future, but haven't really needed to. So you can kind of see there's some rubber plastic there on her hair, and I would just have to move that over in order to put her back looking front and center. Let me move these joints back up so we can finally start looking at Zelda here. There we go. Now, you can see she's held up with one of the Figma stands. She doesn't really need it, honestly. She can stand perfectly fine without it. It's making me feel better. That's really it. Like at least it's not toppling over. But yeah, that's that. So let's come back in for the focus so I can show you guys how she operates, because she's a little different from a normal Figma because she's wearing a dress, and she's got some crazy hair headpiece thing going on. And I just now saw this silver piece on the back of the hair. It's interesting. So that's actually pretty loose at the moment, so it's not being held down as well. I could pop this off just to show you how the whole thing works. It's all going to fall apart now, which is fine. I wanted to do that to show you. While she's frighteningly in the back, remember I said you have to take that tiara piece off? That's actually a segment of it, if you can kind of see how this works. This also comes off, if you see that, and then it attaches to the front of the other one. And then you would attach, I believe the face goes on first. So I would push your face back on, or if I wanted to switch them. Typically, like every other Figma is going to work the same way for the faces. And then the hair piece, and this is like a soft rubber plastic, so it's really easy to move, which is good. This goes in the front. Oh, hold on. No, this is definitely the front. That tiara thing they recommend you put on last for this reason. But there we go. Just kind of pushing it down, making sure that it stays. So anyway, that's how the head is going to work, because she's got multiple pieces. I figured I would show you. Moving on from here, I kind of want to cover her. The points in the arm where it reveals where the double joint is, which it's of course because I'm messing with it a little rougher, just to move every single piece around to show you. The back of the hair, this does move. Mine's not as sturdy as what the back of Link's head was. If I move it up that high, it'll hold, but that's about it. So it's either like all the way or not. I don't know why it's that loose, honestly. If I twist it a bit, it holds. But yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm not really going to move this that much anyway. It's probably going to hang. It's just her hair. So, anyway, moving from there, of course, she's got an ordinary Figma neck joint. It's going to move about where you'd expect. The only downside to this is it makes it a little tougher because of these hair pieces. That's why I had this one over the shoulder. Makes it so she can actually look a little farther and, look where she's aiming with the bow instead of just, shooting off to the right wildly. So, aside from this, these shoulder pieces, I was kind of talking about these before, these are soft rubber plastic too, so that if you have to cram it against the side of her somehow like this, it's not going to crack or anything. It's going to operate just the way you would expect it to. She can move her arms up really far because of that double joint, so don't feel like she can't move very far just because of those things. They look limiting, but they're not. So really, don't worry about that. And that's what I just did with that double joint. You can kind of see if I move it down farther. So it's all just needing adjusting based on where you want her arms to actually stand. So, kind of pushed the other one out when I did that. There we go. So, there we go. There's the arms, or the back of those shoulder pad things, which are really, really well made. She's got a little bit of that pearly sheen thing on her arms, too. That's really hard to pick up on camera. Of course, she's got a ordinary elbow joint in here, which moves out about where it should naturally stop. The hair is now driving me crazy. I didn't know that mine did that until just now. She's got ordinary wrists, and of course, right here, this is one of the fists. I think I was missing a fist over here. No, am I not? No, I'm not missing a fist. Why do I have another fist? Oh, no, this is not a fist. Duh. This is the one where her thumb is very slightly... You see, I'm going to put my finger back there so you see the gap. Very slightly open. And that is all you have to work with to shove that little piece of plastic into it. There's no hole or anything back in there. You just kind of have to wedge it in there and hope it balances. And there's nothing on the bow to help it balance. So, yeah, it's actually just a really weird balancing act, and I'm surprised it even works. And I'm really surprised that they went for that to begin with. It's kind of strange. So aside from that, she's also got a hip joint, but it's actually, or like a torso joint up here at the top. I'm trying to, there we go. Exaggerate it so you can actually see it. And pick that hair up again. Oh, I see what's going on. Mine's hair is actually falling off a bit. I gotta fix that. I can actually see in there one of the joints to the hair is not attached properly. I don't want to break it or anything, but okay, let's try and oh yeah, I can see what's going on now. That was my issue. The whole hair, there we go, actually was coming loose. So since we're moving down anyway, I'm just going to have her be a little more bald. She's got a haircut today. There we go. She got her haircut. No worries. Just let it happen. Yeah, she actually looks good like that. She should consider trying this. So moving on from here is the dress, probably the weirdest part that you guys were wondering about. There's also, like I mentioned, there is movement up here in the torso. It's just not much. It's just more the fact that it can move. And actually, now that I see it, there is some lining up stuff that does have to happen back here. So the more you move this, the more awkward you're gonna make that. So there's like an ideal position she's got to stand if you're viewing her from behind, if you're doing some pose from behind, or if you need her hair. But typically, like from the front, you don't see that at all, so that's fine. I had her shooting with the bow and turned like that, and I didn't even notice it until I just turned it around now. There's a ton of detail in the front of this. I'm going to bring it in a little closer. There we go. Do you see like all the little inscriptions going down the side of the dress? Like, that's nuts. I think it's in, what is it, Hylian script? The same text that goes on the signs and everything in the game. I remember even used to having a translator to try and translate those texts or those images into text for me, assuming it would like directly translate to English like it's Braille or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, there's the back. You can see where the ordinary stand is going to spike in her back. Since we're zoomed in this close, here's a good close-up of the face. You can kind of see all the detail on the shoulder pad things too. This is a really, really detailed one with a lot of like shimmery pieces to it. So I wanted to show all that off because it looks really good. I'm going to back this up just a little bit so I can show you how the dress works here. It's in 3 main pieces, so if I turn it like this, I know we're looking up the dress, but I'm sorry, forgive me, we need to see how this operates. You can kind of see it's in 3 main sections. So there's this one in the front. See, it's like a really well done illusion. You didn't see that unless I flipped it over. I can even turn it in the back. It kind of reveals itself here, but not really. I'm so bummed. Mine came with a scuff right here. Like, new in the box, too. But, anyway, so, yeah, it could kind of start revealing itself in the back. But, in the front, the way it works, it's just really hard to see. So, I could expand it out. I don't really want to pull it much farther than this, but, kind of reveals now this actually is really nice rubbery plastic. I can feel it. Feels almost like leather. Like, I feel like I would scratch it. It's, leathery. If I move these out, they will adjust up at the top for that. Though I do need to see down here, just for the time being, there's obviously ordinary legs. She does still have legs. She even has boots, and there's probably a lot of sculpting details up in there too. But what I find really weird is she actually has to stand on her like tiptoes in order to walk around in the dress. So it's almost like she needed heels or something, because she can't quite reach the ground. You can kind of see there. She can barely reach the ground now just with this one. But she doesn't, like I mentioned, she really doesn't need the stand anyway, because she can just stand on her own, because the dress is always going to form to the ground. The only thing you can really use the legs for is if you needed them to try and hold a wider pose with the dress, you wanted it wider, then you could go ahead and try that. But I've never really needed to at all. But there it is. If you were curious, Zelda does actually have legs down there. The dress is actually just 3 pieces. I was really surprised that it was 3 pieces. I was thinking this has to be like, I don't know, 8 different pieces. One goes in a different direction. They'd have like a different fold or something. But no, that's just the way it worked. It was really surprising that it looks so good for, only having so many pieces on it. So that's cool. There's the rest of the stuff down here, and that's really it. There's really not too much that comes with her, but it's the fact that the Figma itself looks really, really nice. And I'm really glad how this one turned out. Like I said, I'm really glad to be able to have both her and Link, because they pose really well together. They both now have a bow. They both have swords. You can do stuff with them, like holding their swords up. She could knight Link, or I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that can go on with just these 2 of them with the parts that were available to you, which is awesome. So anyway, other than that, I just basically wanted to show this off to you guys and let anybody else know who was wondering how this thing operated. Was it any good? Was it worth it? And hopefully I was able to provide you with some answers today. So that is Zelda. Princess Zelda from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Zelda, Twilight Princess, Princess Zelda. That's so confusing. I don't even know how I'm going to title this episode. But either way, that is all the time I have for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next figure review video. Bye.